Hello, welcome back to another episode of Leointerviews. Today we have Donnie Isley with us.
Hey Leo, how you doing, man? Great to see you.
Good, good. How about you?
I'm better than I deserve.
Well, let's go ahead and get into it. Tell me about you.
Yeah, so to start off with, after college, I was in business for about just over 20 years in the heating oil business. And that's really where I learned what customer service is all about. And my business was very competitive. And so I tried to kind of set my business aside from my competitors. One way of doing that was to offer customer service, which I think the larger companies quite often will lose that. And so I think that's what I attribute a lot of my success to, was the customer service that we were able to offer our customers. And then sometime after that, that led me into the work that I do now, which is where I met you and your family at the BMW Performance Center. And I've been at the Performance Center now for 25 years, and has been a really dream job for me, because what led me to the Performance Center was my sports car racing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been racing sports cars for the last 45 years, and BMW has their manufacturing facility not too far from here, about an hour here from Asheville, North Carolina. They're located in Greer, South Carolina. They manufacture the X3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 for the world. I can't believe I'm making this statement, Leo, but they build 1,500 cars per day.
Wow.
And yeah, they export those vehicles they build all over the world. So even when I go to Europe, if I were to be driving like an X3 or X5, the X3 was built here in the good old upstate of South Carolina. And we actually export about 60%. So across from the manufacturing facility, that's where our driving school is located, and that's where I met you and your family a number of years back at our driving school. And then so that's kind of what I do. And what I do now, I'm still a driving instructor, but what I focus primarily on are my European trips I organize through BMW. Of course, your dad has joined me at the famous Nürburgring, and I know you did as well a few years back. And then also in Sweden, I just returned from Sweden in February for my other European trip that I organized. I was at the BMW Winter Test Center, and there the test center is about 50 miles from Arctic Circle in Arjeplog, Sweden. And so half the lake is dedicated for car testing. So every BMW has been developed and tested on the frozen lake, very, very extreme conditions. And I saw 40 below zero this year. So these are extreme conditions that the cars are being tested. But what I do, the other half of the lake is what I do, and that's driver training. So we're on top of the frozen lake driving M cars, just like the M car I'm sitting in right now. The M3, so we drive M cars with big knobby tires and big long studs, teaching the drivers drifting in M cars on the frozen lake there in Sweden.
So yeah, I know well, I've been to Germany, and then Dad's been to Sweden, and also I really like Germany a lot. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I'll be heading to Germany in June for the same trip that you joined me on a few years back, and we'll do the same thing we did. We'll first go to Munich, which is the home of BMW there in Bavaria, enjoy some of the Bavarian culture, and then my clients, myself, will be driving to the Nürburgring for the annual training that we do there. And of course, if you're not familiar with that track, one lap to the Eiffel Mountains of Germany is about 13 miles. And so we have the track rented just for BMW. For this event, we do sectional training. We take the drivers one section of the track. We teach that one section. Then after 1 hour, move to the next section. Because as you can imagine, the track is 13 miles in length. The big challenge is trying to learn this track that has 1,000 feet of elevation change. And so it's a very challenging track. It's the most famous racetrack in all the world. And so that is the track. If you're a gearhead, motor enthusiast, that is the track that everyone wants to go to. So I'll be joining 32 customers in June there on the Nordschleifer section of the Nürburgring.
And last time that I went there, or I guess the time I didn't go there, we got like the perfect view from the like food place because like there's a balcony where you could watch
Yeah,
all the cars go by.
yeah, exactly. What you're
Yeah.
talking about is the famous restaurant right there on the main straightaway of the Nürburgring called the Devil's Diner. And it's a great place where all the cars come in, and a great place to sit there and enjoy lunch and watch the cars while you're having lunch.
Yeah. I remember just like I think snacking down on a couple fries, but yeah.
Exactly, right.
What was your biggest challenge and how did you overcome it?
Um, a great question. I think going back to my early years when I was in business, my big challenge was, of course, was finance, and trying to get the proper funding for the business that I started, my wife and I, and so my biggest challenge was that, and I think with while we're on the topic of money, I think it's important for people to learn, especially younger in life, the trying to avoid debt through credit cards. It was later in life before I learned that lesson that it should be pay as you go, and that was something that we overcame, and I attribute that to our success, the fact that we limited the amount of debt that we had. And so I think as a young person, whether they're in debt or, excuse me, whether they're in business or not, trying to avoid the credit card debt is always a big challenge.
And this one's gonna be a bit interesting. So, what do you think is like the hardest part in the Nürburgring?
Oh wow, the Nürburgring. Yeah, that's a great question, Leo. The biggest challenge there is learning the track. And so, if you think about a track that's 13 miles in length, if you were to do full laps around the track, it's probably taking you 9 or 10 minutes to do one lap. And so with that said, it's you only see each corner one time every 10 minutes. And that's unlike racetracks we have here in the US. I just returned from Virginia International Raceway in Virginia this last weekend. I was racing. I still actively race. While it's my profession, it is my passion. And so I was racing last weekend. So, so that track is just over 3 miles. And so that's 25% of the length of the Nürburgring. And so, the big challenge at the Nürburgring is learning what's on the other side of that corner, what's on the other side of that hill, because you can't see it. And most of the corners are all blind, that you can't see the corners until you get there, and then it's almost too late. So the big challenge is trying to remember when you first go there, trying to remember what's on the other side of that hill. Is there a long straightaway so you can keep your foot in the throttle, or is it followed by a very, very tight corner? And so I guess my big challenge at the Nürburgring in the beginning, this will be my 18th year of teaching there and organizing groups. And so it was probably 3 or 4 years before I felt comfortable of knowing what's behind that next corner. So that, to answer your question, that's probably my big challenge, was learning the track. And with that said, what's happened in the last few years are the creation of simulators. Simulators are really big in racing now, and that is a great opportunity to learn brand new tracks. And so if the simulator is available, then that's a great way to learn, especially a track like the Nürburgring that's 13 miles long.
And I know that there's like that one section that's kind of like a tiny bit, or I can't remember, it's more towards the finish or the beginning.
Right.
But you're going, and a bunch of people gather at that like guardrail fence area because so many people crash into there.
Yeah,
and
so
they have to like break and hug it.
Yeah, exactly. So what you're talking, a lot of people call that the YouTube corner, because that's the corner that everybody goes to because they're waiting to watch a crash. And so, there's a crash there, and within 5 or 10 minutes, that crash, you can see that same crash on YouTube. And so it's pretty cool. Of course, this area, the village of Nürburgring, is all about motorsports. The Nürburgring is it was first created many years ago, back in the 20s, I think, and it was to create jobs and employment, source of income for the local people, and that's still what it's doing today. And so, so what you're talking about are the tourist laps. And so when the track is not being rented, like for a race or an event like what we have with BMW, the track is opened up as a one-way public toll road, and anyone that wants to go on the track, regardless of their experience, they can take their streetcar onto this track and pay a fee, pay a toll at the beginning. And so, as you can imagine, the most dangerous, most challenging racetrack in the world, to open it up to complete novices, accidents are going to happen. And so this one section is pretty cool because, like on a Sunday afternoon, there'll be 300 people that have they have come to the track, and they set up as barbecue. You know, they're drinking beer. It's a real festive atmosphere, typical Germany, and they're there to watch the tourist laps, thinking they may see a crash at that one corner. So yeah, I remember you and I going there and watching the cars go by from that section.
Yeah. If anything, I feel like you would want to be away from it because, like, I know, like, okay, like, yeah, like you can get some like cool clips of like cars crashing, but I feel like you want to be away from the most crashing section.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty safe where we're at. So that's the section that a lot of people congregate at because it's a challenging part. You know, the Nürburgring is very narrow. It's not like most racetracks where it has a lot of runoff area. The Nürburgring is very narrow, and the not much runoff area. The guardrail quite often is located right next to the track. So if you make a mistake, there's a good chance you're going to find a guardrail.
Yeah. So, but still, I feel like if I'm like one of the people in the crowds, I'm gonna back up. Like, I do not want to be smashed
Right.
like with a car.
Right, exactly.
So I
right.
feel like I would back off.
Yeah, you get the sensation that you're right there on top of the track, but at the end of the day, it's pretty safe with the guardrail, the fencing, and they have to protect the car from leaving the course.
So, but like all of the track is still safe. Still very top-notch safe. But
yeah.
If you think that we could all change the world by doing one thing, what would it be?
I'm sorry, ask me that again now.
Oh, if you think that like everybody in the world could change the world by doing one thing, what would it be?
Man, that's a great question. You know, if I could wave a magic wand across all the population of the world, I guess it would be for everyone to have peace in whatever country they live in. You know, it's of course we're right now in the middle of the conflict we have with Iran, and it's a shame that these things happen. It's a shame that the countries can't stay to themselves. And give everyone the opportunity to to be themselves without any without anything from the government dictating what they can or can't do. So if I could wave that magic wand and the entire world is entirely at peace with no conflicts, that would be the change I would make.
Because I feel like if we have world peace, most of bad things would be just gone, like
exactly. Yeah.
First of all, like there would be no wars about are hot dogs or chili dogs better,
Right.
So
exactly.
yeah, right. There would be no war about food. There'd be no war about war.
Right.
So I feel like the world would be a lot better place if like
Yeah.
world peace.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree.
When you were scared, what is something that helps you feel brave again?
Well, I'm strong in my faith with God, and you know, I like to tell people that I hope I live past today, but if I don't feel sorry for me. I've had a great life, and so I'm not saying that I never get scared. That's not true, but I think relying on my faith is really the faith that we're going to be taken care of. That our God's going to take care of us as He promised that He would, and so relying on my faith seems to overcome any fear that at the end of the day it doesn't matter. I'm going to be taken care of no matter what, and that's kind of the attitude I have.
So would you agree? I'm just curious. Out of like all the tracks you've been on, would you say that Nürburgring is the hardest one?
Yeah, without question. I think the Nürburgring is a class of its own. Everything else is way below that. It's really sacred ground for those of us that are gearheads that enjoy racing, enjoy cars, but yeah, it is by far the most challenging track out there because of the elevation change, because of the length that we talked about, how difficult it is to learn the corners. But I guess my next favorite track below the Nürburgring would be Spa in Belgium. It's crazy. And here's the most famous track in the world, the Nürburgring, but then less than 2 hours away in Belgium is Spa. And that's and a lot of the locals there actually like that circuit better than they do the Nürburgring. It's another very famous track, a lot of history from Formula One for many years, and also a lot of elevation change there as well. But it's crazy. The most two famous racetracks in the entire world are less than 2 hours apart.
Yeah, kind of crazy. But maybe it's like there's like a central, I guess,
right.
like circle for like all the big
that whole
racetracks.
area is all about motorsports, and so that's one thing, and the other thing is the just the natural terrain there of that area with the mountains and setting a track nestled in the mountains of those two tracks, it makes it very, very challenging. Hopefully, maybe we can get your dad and your family out there sometime to Spa. Yeah, that's the next track on your dad's list.
Yeah. It's funny because I remember, I think we were in Munich, if I'm correct,
Right.
at the hotel. And we went, so we were there during dinner, and Dad was going to get some French fries, but
Right.
he didn't want the French fries, he wanted German fries.
Right.
So he asked the waiter, hey, do you guys have like not French fries, but German fries? Because I want fries from Germany, not French.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I have to share.
You remember how they responded?
They're like, sure, here, take some German fries.
Right. Call them whatever you want. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a cool area in Munich where we stayed there in Munich because it was kind of centrally located to the Marienplatz, the center city of Munich, and again that is the home of BMW and there in Bavaria, and so it's a really nice culture there, from old culture of the Bavarians.
One last thing, I feel like I just have to share this. Is it was really cool. Like you walk down into like the subway, and we took a little train. That was kind of cool.
Right. Yeah. I love taking their public transportation. When I go there, I just use the trains to go everywhere. It's just great. And of course, where you and I stayed, it was right across the main train station there in Munich, and you can walk right across the street and hop on a train and go just about anywhere in Europe you want to go to. Yeah. And we took the trains, to the downtown and to the. If I remember right, we went to the. The museum there at BMW and took a train there, and that was pretty cool also. I love taking the trains because a lot of traffic in Munich and parking is difficult, so that's one thing you don't have to worry about is trying to find a parking space. One thing we got to get you to do, I know here before too much longer, you'll be getting your driver's license. And we have a great teen school at the Performance Center, the BMW Performance Center across from the factory. Is crazy, but we ran 20,000 people through there last year. And so we do everything there from car delivery. You can order your brand new BMW from your local dealer anywhere in the US and choose to have your car delivered at the Performance Center. And we have a course for you to take. Of course, you don't want to drive your brand new car on our driving course and punish it the way we do. You see what we do there. But we have about 130 cars in our fleet. And so we'll try to match up one of our school cars as close as we can to the car you're picking up. And so if you were picking up an M3 like what I'm sitting in right now, you would drive one of our school M3s. And then we have some courses set up for you to drive. And so you can take delivery on the car. But really, I think what our most important school we have there, we do many schools, high performance driving schools, our M schools. But I think our very, very most important school we teach are for the teen drivers. And, if we can save one life by teaching the teens our acts of avoidance exercises that we do, then it was all worthwhile. And so that's something we take very, very serious. We take serious manufacturing cars, but we also take very serious driver training, and especially our teen drivers. And so before too much longer, you'll be getting your driver's license. And so we have to make sure we twist your mom and dad's arm to send you to us at the Performance Center so you can take one of our teen driving schools.
Oh, I can't wait for that. It sounds a lot of fun. Sounds like a lot of fun.
But let me caution you, it's very, very addictive.
Okay. What's the biggest piece of advice that you could give to someone right now?
Stay true to yourself. Always believe in yourself. The sky's the limit. There are no limits for us, and stay true to yourself. That'd be my biggest piece of advice I could give someone.
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious to see. I ask everyone this question, all of you. I've invented this question since the 30th, 20th podcast. What's the biggest piece of financial advice that you can give to someone?
Yeah, going back to my other statement about that was limiting debt. It's so easy. If you can breathe, and then just about anyone is guaranteed a credit card. They make it so easy for people to get credit cards, and it makes it so easy for people to get in debt. And so that would be my piece of financial advice, would be to stay debt free as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, you guys heard it from Donnie. Okay, so that's the biggest piece of financial advice. This is where we start to wrap it up. Donnie, it was nice meeting you. But before we close out, is there maybe a link or websites where people can find out more about you?
Yeah, I'll have to send it to you. It's I've got a small, short YouTube video of my Sweden adventure, which is pretty cool. Watching the car slide on ice, but maybe I can get that to you so you can add that link to the podcast.
All right. Well, it was nice meeting you, Donnie.
Great seeing you, Leo, as well. You made my day. Thank you for asking me on your podcast. It's an honor to be here, and I've really enjoyed watching you grow up, and look forward to that continued growth.
Mm-hmm. Well, until next time, guys. Bye.
Okay. Take care, Leo.